Let me check into that for you. No.
No, I don't even check in. I just know the answer is no.
Test 1, 2, 3. Works. We're good, Mark. All good. Yay. I don't know that Chris is not going to join this meeting, I don't think, by phone. He has the call in. I gave it to him earlier.
Originally, that's what Jane said. She said
Yeah.
if we needed him for a quorum, he could join. I said, no, I think we're good. Then Friday,
Yeah.
she mentioned maybe. I'm like, either way, I think we're fine. That's fine. Of anything we were reviewing, like the same budget presentation for the whole.
Yeah.
Go on, or do we have to?
Yeah, Mark, you gonna turn the, I don't know, we could get an extra remote, maybe.
The seat I'm used to, that seat up there.
So, look over your head. We're getting ready to change some of this.
Maybe I can catch the reflection off the TV.
Put a mirror in there. What do you got? Battery bad?
We'll see. It'll look like it, but
Bad batteries. The only person online is Bill Leonard.
okay.
So,
Well, we have a quorum then.
taking minutes, you or who?
Yeah, Sarah.
Sarah, you taking minutes? Okay. Bill Leonard is online, so. Everybody else is here. Except for Chairman Moore.
Okay, and Deb Allen, she said she was gonna.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen her.
That's okay.
She hasn't joined yet.
Fine. Okay.
No? That's because we touched it earlier today. Yeah, somebody messed with it and
You're like, what's this button do?
we're getting ready to redo the video. We did the sound. The sound is
How are you?
amazing now.
Good.
The video part, we're gonna redo.
Oh, I'm
all the
sorry.
Video to put in new, like, laser.
Wow, that's like,
Wow.
that's so
projectors and
clear.
Stuff, make it a little bit better,
Hi.
better visual. Fix
Anybody,
some
everybody
things.
got a packet?
Are the buildings on fiber or still on? cat
Well,
fiber?
everything's fiber, except for the, to the desk, it's copper, but yeah, we have fiber everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see it good, thank you. It's a little,
It's really nice.
so clear, I may not even need my glasses.
Working on a secondary paths from.
Not used to seeing so clearly.
A diverse path, diverse.
I know, it was all the way back there.
It's actually part of, one of the things that we're asking them to do under CARES Act.
There it is.
to get Secondary connections into places, because everybody's doing everything remote. And some of the buildings, we only have one primary connection in. If we lose it, you're done for a while.
First pass.
Yep. If you don't have it, and you say you're gonna do everything electronically, you
Oh.
better get busy. Yeah.
Good question.
I would do the roll call for the members present, just to have it for the record. Yeah.
Okay, but then like when we run minutes and stuff, if we know he's the only one online, and we have a quorum in person, do we still have to do that or no?
You have to roll call everything that you vote on.
Okay, that's what I've started, just checking, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right,
We have a couple things to vote on, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Just the minutes and then the proposed 21 budget. All right, then we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. 1:02 PM for KaneComm board. We'll go ahead and call the roll since we have some people joining remotely. Wazin is not here. Deb Allen is not in attendance. Okay. Fagel,
Present?
Sonstock,
Present.
Kane,
Here.
Leonard,
Leonard, present.
Nadenoff,
Here.
Nixon,
Here.
and Peterson.
Here.
Right, and I believe that is everyone. Any public comment today? Okay, hearing none. We do not have any correspondence to share with the board today. I will take a motion for our minutes from June 2nd, 2020 included in the packet.
So moved.
Fago, seconded by Nixon. Any changes, updates, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes. Our staff reports are included in the packet. The last time we met was June 2nd. We don't have a lot to share since our last meeting. Our major accomplishment is we went live with the Intrado phone system. KaneComm cut over with the upgrade in the end of June. We went live with the system July 16th. We're pleased to report that everything went well. We haven't had any significant issues. Director Shell Street and I signed off on the final acceptance today, so that will be submitted to Intrado. If you remember, this is the grant that we got, the Next Generation 911 grant that contributed to this upgrade. So we have fulfilled all the requirements of the grant. We'll be submitting the final paperwork soon once we have everything back from Intrado. In addition, we have started the hiring process again. We did testing on, was it the 17th? We tested a great group of applicants. And then we'll be moving forward with their background screening and their psychological screening. We have that test scheduled for the 31st with the Diagnostic Center. We have been able to resume our testing in person with proper social distancing protocols. So we do the typing test online, the skills testing here, and then we move on to the other portions of the test. We hope to hire 2 people and then get them started into the training process, and then hopefully 2 more, which will fulfill our vacancies as we are right now. Any questions on the staff reports?
Michelle, is there any certain reason you keep losing telecommunicators? Are they just going elsewhere, or?
No, the telecommunicators we've lost recently have been in training. So we've had a number the past couple of years who haven't completed the training process. You know, we do as much as we can to be transparent about what the position entails or requires. We're doing sit-alongs as well. But it seems watching it, and once you get started and you're actually doing the role, there were some concerns. This isn't what I thought. It's very difficult to multitask. You know, the listening, the typing at the same time, the stress of the job has contributed to the loss in the past. It's, you know, there's the skill set that we test in the beginning, but there's only so much we can test for. And it seems that sometimes the perception and the reality are not the same thing.
We're not really losing anybody that's been here 4 or 5 years or longer, or whatever.
Correct. The last 2, I would say, experienced telecommunicators that we lost were in 2017. The only reason they left is because one of them went to become a police officer in Hampshire. And then the other person, she moved, her husband was transferred for work to Florida. So they're not experienced personnel that we have leaving. They are vacancies that have existed for the past couple of years that we're trying to fill. We did have one telecommunicator that was in training from the last batch of testing. She completed the training process and has been released. So she is working afternoon shift and she's doing a great job. We have worked with the Diagnostic Center as well to say, hey, when you're doing these psychological exams, here are employees that have successfully completed training. Is there anything that we can find that, you know, was evident in their psychological testing or in their background screening that we can look for in future applicants to increase our success rates? Any other questions about the staff reports? I
For
should
the-
note, oh, yes,
I was gonna say, for the record, Deb Allen is in attendance. She's
Okay.
online.
thank you. Hi, Deb.
Thank you, Mr. Fonstack. Hi, Michelle. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I just wanted to say that the actual is almost always different from the anticipated.
That is true. That is true. But we are, it's interesting, the job market now. We thought it would be interesting to see the type of applications that we're getting now. We're hopeful that this last batch of applicants that we put through testing will have a good success rate. Their skills test scores were very high. I think the highest in groups that we've ever tested before. So we hope to get some successful trainees out of this testing process. In addition, we have continued with as much in-house training as possible. We've mentioned Target Solutions, in-house program that we've implemented. Deputy Director Stofa has worked on it very hard the last couple of months, and we reviewed the emergency medical dispatch protocols, as well as emotional testing, or excuse me, emotional intelligence, racial bias. We continuously look through webinars that we are submitting to staff for continuing education that they answer questions on. That will increase their skill set in-house until we can get out and do more training again. There's a number of virtual conferences for 911 that are going to be offered online too. So we are trying to make scheduling adjustments for our team to complete those when they are not on the council as additional training. Right. Any questions on our staff reports?
Michelle, how is everybody doing with all of the activities since March? Excuse me, all the increased COVIDity and things like that. It's got to affect your team as well. It's affected uniform staff. What are you seeing?
I say that, mental health is extremely important to us, which our team hopefully is well aware of, and we talk about openly and often. There's a number of resources that staff is aware are available to them, as well as tools through the sheriff's office that has been extended to us as support as well. It's difficult that some of these options are offered remotely at this time, but still our telecommunicators are aware that they're available to them. We had a supervisor meeting last night that we discussed additional measures and how we're notified at increasingly sensitive calls that they're dealing with. Sometimes, we're notified right away that someone had a CPR call and the person didn't make it. Other times, it may be a week or so that we find out that someone took a hard call. And we're trying to brainstorm how we are made aware of those types of circumstances quicker so we can follow up with the telecommunicators.
How do we reduce the stigma? Because there's a huge stigma, across every public service line. How do we reduce that so people know that it's not bad to ask for assistance? Everybody's built a shell around themselves over the last 20 years, 30 years, and that's how we get in trouble. And I'm seeing it every place I go.
Well, the 911.
How do we make it easier for them?
Yeah, I think the 911 industry for sure in the last year, if not year and a half, 2 years, has done a lot with PTSD, talking about it, making resources more available, doing webinars, doing things at conferences. There was an Illinois public safety conference about 2 years ago where almost the entire one-day session was related to dispatcher PTSD. We work with that software, Rapid SOS, that provides that precise location data to us. And one of the representatives through Rapid SOS, Tracy, she has a whole series on how important mental health is. And she also continues to, offer webinars and training and open talking. What is the other one? Sarah, what is it? I am 911 or Within the Trenches. Yes, there's different podcasts now available to telecommunicators. They can reach that through our bringing that from us to bring that to their attention. It's all over social media. So I think a number of telecommunicators seek that out on their personal time as well. But it's much more open and talked about than it was just a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's something, as I mentioned before, the sheriff's office has that program, Aspire, that was offered to staff members, and it was open to ours free of charge. As well. I openly talk about how I attended a session. I think it's extremely beneficial. We would send out, the YouTube videos, what it was about, how it was strictly on your personal time. And it wasn't just free one time, it was free every single time you wanted to attend. Go once a week, go 5 times a week, it was up to you. So we do have a number of resources that we use and appreciate all of those resources.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, anything else on staff reports? All right, moving on. Yes.
I just want to say something because I don't know, where to put this in on the agenda. Our agency back in June had a big crash, as you guys are all aware of, some
Mhm.
dispatching. And when we're talking about staff, I just wanted to bring up that I think it's not talked about enough about what goes on behind the scenes in
Mhm.
dispatching.
Mhm.
I had an opportunity to listen to the 911 tapes and calls for that accident. For an impaired driver, and I just have to say that it's not that I mean, I always feel that way. It's just really impressive of the calmness, the amount of phone calls. It took me 45 minutes to listen to all those tapes.
Mhm.
And just all the calls that you guys received, they were calling out task force, they're calling out investigators.
Mhm.
And to do that when they're doing their business, I just think it's awesome. So.
No, thank you. We'll pass that on to the team. Thank you.
very professional.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on staff reports? All right, moving on to our 2020 year-to-date budget. We are trending slightly higher than usual for this time of year, and there's a couple reasons. We're tracking our COVID expenses. Many of our COVID-related expenses are directly related to payroll and supplies. I don't have any concerns for the 2020 budget, but just so the board is aware, we are trending slightly higher than normal. As you can see, the line item for overtime always trends high, but this is due to many vacations. They are able to use their benefit time. We've had some restrictions, but they're using benefit time during the summer. So obviously they have a lot of requests, which equals a lot of overtime, as well as the telecommunicator vacancies contribute to that overtime as well. Are there any questions on the current budget?
Michelle, did county finance give you a COVID-19 line item?
They did.
Okay, is it on here?
No, it is not on here.
Okay.
And it may not be on here because I had ordered some supplies and put them in my own filing system. And then I checked with Joe Onzik and I explained that I had expended a number of invoices to one particular line item. And then he provided that, the GL number for COVID. So finance went back and changed all those entries for us. That may not show up on this report, but when August is complete, I can send that out to the board and it should include that line item. I believe for supplies, I can't remember what the exact total is. I expect for the year, at least in payroll costs, will be close to $60,000 for staff time spent on COVID-related activities. In supplies, maybe close to $5,000.
I just want to make sure you weren't taking a knock for
Mm-mm.
all the extra spending.
Nope, Erica went through and made all the adjustments for us. And then for payroll as well, those are all coded with the specific COVID code that payroll had provided for us.
Great.
Any other questions on the current budget? All right, moving ahead. We do have our proposed 2021 budget in the packet. The summary is included in the printed copies. I did not print the detailed pages. There's 13 in the electronic copy of specific budget detail, including our revenue for each agency. And then as well as expenses, every single line item is included in that detail. So it's not in the printed copy. It is included in the electronic version. I do have a very short budget presentation that I did through Committee of the Whole. I'm not sure if we have that. I had
Yeah,
emailed it.
Mark, I have it. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do this quickly rather than just reading down the summary. The clicker. All right. So for our county reporting for the budget process, this is just a quick PowerPoint that was put together. Thank you. That was put together for Committee of the Whole at the end of July. Thank you. We are special revenue. Not much has changed from our previous years. We serve 9 different police agencies and 7 fire departments, as well as other divisions within the county. I thought it was important to include our activity and statistics so far this year. As you can see from that bottom blue line, we are trending less than we have in the past. This is mostly due to officer-initiated activity that happened in March and April when COVID hit. There was a sharp decrease in traffic stops, suspicious subjects, anything that would be officer-initiated contributed to that drop. However, it is interesting that 5 years ago, we had one additional agency when we were dispatching for South Elgin Police. They were our 3rd largest agency, but we still had less calls 5 years ago than we do right now without them, and we've seen a decrease in activity. So we are still trending high. Our organization has not changed. You know, we still have our 3 shifts, 5 telecommunicators on each shift with a supervisor. That's what our budgeted positions are for and how our reporting structure works. We are a special revenue agency. The majority of, or pretty much all of our revenue comes from our subscriber fees, as well as our 911 surcharge revenue. A small portion of that can also come from audio recordings that we receive from independent attorneys. The majority of our expenditures is our personnel costs. There is an increase over this year because of our collective bargaining agreement. We have a very senior staff, so everybody is moving with their step increases as well as their 2% increase with their step increase. We do have a slight increase in our contractual, but that is due to some tower rental agreements that went up just a little bit. But our commodities and our transfers to other funds hasn't really changed. So you can see the biggest change is our personnel. It's up 3.22%, and that is due to collective bargaining agreement as well as our changes in benefits. And our benefit rates comes directly from our county finance department. So overall, we do have a balanced budget for 2021, but it is a 2.9% increase over 2020, which is only about $64,000 and change. The summary is also included. This is the summary that's included in the packet that breaks down everything from union wages to non-union salaries and wages and our benefits as a whole, and then our payroll expenses. Are there any questions on the proposed 2020 budget or 2021 budget?
Michelle, having a balanced budget is awesome. What concerns you? What is out there lurking that
I don't really have any concerns. I think we have many opportunities, you know, to look at. I think we've talked about, you know, there's 3 more on our VHF radio system. There's 3 more sites we would like to expand to. We would like some better coverage up in North Starks. We would like some better coverage. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the Wasco Sanitation District in Campton Hills, you know, and we need to get equipment up there. And also in the Wayne area, as well as Fox Rivers area, we've talked about ways that we can increase. So here's where we are right now. I think we have other opportunities that we could discuss, but I don't have any concerns. Any other questions?
I think from the people that are online, they're asking if everybody would be sure to turn their microphone on, speak into the microphone. They're having trouble hearing you. So that would help them.
Thank you.
But I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget
Okay.
as provided today in the packet. I believe we have to approve of it here at KaneComm before it goes to finance for approval. So I'll make that motion to approve.
I'd like to Leonard likes to second.
Seconded
Thank
by
you, Bill.
Leonard. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Oh, we will call the roll. Allen,
Alan, I.
Bagel,
yes?
Bonstack,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes,
Nadenoff,
Yes.
Nixon,
Yes.
and Peterson.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to our communication system updates. The back there, Andy. Yeah, I think
on.
it's turned on, yeah.
Okay.
You're live.
Mhm.
Okay. As far as communications goes, everything is working according to plan. No huge issues, no problems to report. Just some occasional T1 outages for through AT&T. Those have been relatively brief. The biggest thing that we kind of did earlier this year was move our radio equipment up at the North Tower into a new equipment shelter. That was a huge upgrade for us. We went from a 1970s fiberglass hut to a climate-controlled stone shelter. A lot of those upgrades were provided by the site manager And they literally just let us move our equipment on in there. So we did that over about a week period. Everything is now in that secure building. We have entry alarms, temperature alarms, so significant upgrade at that tower. We've also been working with several other agencies on intergovernmental agreements with trying to add towers, as Michelle was saying. We have several items on the wish list. We just need to coordinate on how to make that happen. And we've been talking, like she said, we had intergovernmental agreement with Wasco Sanitation District. So we do have the okay to put equipment there at any time. We just have to coordinate. Our biggest challenge is connectivity back to the 911 center, which we'll be discussing internally to see what we can do to make that happen. And the only other upgrade we've had is, many of you know, we run a voice over IP system called Zello, which we interface to our radio systems. It's a free service. We were able to get the government level account on that service. Prior to that, we were using the personal public access type of system through them. With the commercial grade account, we have greater control over things, and over the excuse me, over the remainder of the year, we're going to try to get the Zello system upgraded to the commercial account, and we'll have more control, secure encryption, things like that through the system. So that'll be another upgrade for us. And that's all I have for communications, I believe.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Any winter issues coming up? Anything as we get in, it's here, it is August. Any winter things?
No, we've been trying to get a lot of the tower site maintenance stuff done before winter hits. Obviously, it's a little hard to work on some of the outdoor sites, you know, trudging through the snow. So we have straightened a couple of antennas, found a couple of antenna issues, replaced antennas. So a lot of that, like the Plato Tower, for example, we wanted to get that done while the weather was nice versus having a tower crew climb in the middle of winter. So we're getting a lot of that stuff done. The thing like Zello is a backroom type of service where we can do that in the middle of winter. We don't have to be outside interfacing to towers and cables and things like that. So we're kind of planning it to get the tower site stuff done first before winter hits.
Thank you, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
We did have an emergency climb as well. As you mentioned, the South Elgin Tower, we were having some reception areas around there. And there was a faulty, well, the antenna had moved somehow.
Yeah, many of you remember just several weeks ago, that big storm that came through, I forget the name of it, with the high winds.
Resho.
That's it, the Duresho. Anyway, I discovered that the antenna at our South Elgin Tower had slipped in the mount and was leaning at about a 20 to 30 degree angle. So we called the tower crew, went up there and found that we not only had a crooked antenna, but our second antenna up there, the connector had literally broken off the end. So we had that all repaired, and that site is back to 100% and working great too.
What's an emergency climb cost us?
It was about $680. Yes. So that cost was easily covered, as Andy mentioned. And I believe in that storm, if you remember about a year ago, it was the end of June where we lost all of Fire South. We had such a major storm that Fire South was offline for an hour or so, and Andy was using his truck to power one of the tower sites to get us back online. So we are very thankful that when this storm came through, it was only that equipment that we suffered any kind of slight damage to. There were no outages at all.
Yeah, knock on wood, the system was flawless through that storm. We did not lose a single tower, not a single site. It was rock solid.
Mhm.
That was good.
However, in the event that, another significant storm were to go through, we did add a number of UPS battery backups at 4 or 5 of the sites, I believe, so we will not encounter that type of situation again.
Right, and we did rebuild several UPSs over the summer as well. We replaced aged batteries. So all of our sites, or I should say a great majority of the sites, have fresh batteries in them. So we're good for 2 to 3 years on those sites.
So battery cycles, I know in my other life, we had batteries, evens and odds, just to make sure they run a complete cycle so we didn't lose one. Problem is occasionally we'll lose a battery, don't know where it's at. That's a device that goes down, and we lost in our 911 center, we lost track of where the battery actually was.
Yeah, we keep tabs on how many batteries. I have a spreadsheet of batteries at the site and the dates they were replaced now. Prior to that, we did not know.
Your mic, sorry, can you use your microphone? I think everybody on the phone's having
Sorry.
trouble
You
hearing.
gotta turn
Sorry.
it on.
Yeah, is it on in the
Yeah, it's
little
on.
green button? Okay.
Looks like it's on.
Right.
Yeah.
Up one right here. He's green. And I think, Andy, remember about 20 years ago, Chicago 911 lost their entire 911 system due to a UPS under a supervisor's desk that nobody knew was there. When that went out, they lost the entire system for almost a year, almost a day.
Yeah, we keep a regular maintenance on our 911 center UPS. We do that once, I believe we get a call from them once a year, once every couple of years. But
Yeah,
we do routinely replace the batteries.
Yeah, we have a UPS unit in our data center that can go for a span of 6.5 hours if we lose some sort of connection with the generator. If we lose power, we're on the generator. If some reason the generator isn't functioning, then we go to UPS power where we have 6.5 hours. When that 6.5 hours is up, in that time, we would have already called our backup company who can bring an external generator that can hook up to the building. Those batteries in the data center are serviced 2 times a year. That is actually an expense that we may have to look at either at the end of this year, depending on how we continue to trend, or into next year, because it's been about 5 years since we replaced those UPS batteries. The performance on them in the last preventative maintenance visit that we had is they're still all in working order. There are no concerns. It's just the age of the batteries. So Nationwide is encouraging us to replace the batteries. I believe the last time we did that was 2014.
Right. And I do get emails from the UPS, should there be a problem. If it goes into alarm, goes into an active state, I get an email notification right away on
You get a handshake from each UPS.
the main one, yes.
The main, yeah.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
certainly.
For clarification, the entire data room that controls radio, computer, and phones is all operated on UPS and generator power. There's not anything that's on a separate individual battery system.
Mhm.
So it was designed for a central UPS and central generator
Mhm.
with a manual bypass outside. So there's a bolt-on transfer switch outside the building.
Correct.
Thank you, Roger. That's good to know.
Alan, Alan with a question?
Go ahead. Yes, Ms. Allen, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. It sounds like the replacement of those batteries in the building are really expensive. That's why you've waited 5 years. Can I ask what the cost of that is?
Yes, so the normal life cycle of those batteries is about 5 years. And as I said, they're tested 2 times a year. The cost to replace them, I anticipate, would be between like $22,000 and $25,000.
So it's a considered purchase and you're thinking about how to work that in.
Correct. Correct. And the different opportunity or sources of revenue that we would pull that cost from, depending on how the rest of the year plays out.
Sure, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Just another additional expense we'll have to keep in mind moving forward, and we don't have anything, I guess, official. It would probably require some sort of RFP or otherwise, would be, we've talked about it in past meetings, our MCC 5500 radio councils. Those radio councils are all functioning. They're working. We have spare parts, but they are end of life. So thank you to Andy, because if we have an issue, he's been able to tend to it and fix with what we have. But it's something that we need to keep in mind moving forward.
Michelle, Alan here. Can I ask, is that something that you would do all at once, or would you try and phase in a machine at a time?
No, that is something that we would do all at once. The last time that those radio consoles were, I guess, replaced, that I can trace back to, I think is 2006. So they've had a good life.
And that cost is going to come in around what?
I would estimate between, I would estimate between, on the very low end, $600,000 to possibly more. $600,000 to maybe $800,000 for 10 positions. But again, that's an estimate.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
But I think, Michelle, this is Roger. Some of those were bought or picked up under Director Ferris from another agency, I believe.
Correct. So we do have 4 spares. We've got 4 MCC 5500 spares that we picked up from Glenview Dispatch for, I think the cost was $5,000 when they were getting rid of them. And the thought was if we needed to add to the room, if we needed additional positions, if we needed spare parts, knowing that they could become end of life. So that is how we acquired them. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Roger, ETSB update?
From the ETSB side of it, there hasn't been a lot of activity. We did have a meeting, and one of the topics of that meeting was the allocation of the state ETSB surcharge money. The allocation meaning how much is distributed to TRICOM, KaneComm, and the operations of the ETSB. There was a subcommittee formed, which was for the purposes of looking at the budget and looking at the allocation of the surcharge money from the agencies. They're going to be bringing back their findings to the next ETSB meeting and their recommendations, where we'll adopt a new allocation or keep the allocation that we have. The one thing that is driving that is that this year the ETSB will complete their debt service on a 10-year bond issue from the Recovery Act. So the annual debt service on that was about $160,000 that we were paying every year from ETSB. That will go away this year. So there's going to be additional $160,000 plus the ETSB is pretty much a pass through to the KaneComm and TRICOM agencies. So whatever money we can direct from ETSB to the agencies so they can do their work, we'd like to keep the ETSB board itself as lean operationally as it can be so that the money goes to the agencies. So they're revisiting that. I don't know if you came up with new percentages. Michelle was in that meeting.
No,
with Joe.
not from that meeting. We do need to meet again before ETSB to
Okay.
discuss the percentages.
Yeah, because that's set by the master streets and address guide and the number of lines that are assigned to each PSAP. And then we also have a percentage of the money which goes straight to the operating cost of the ETSB. And I think that needs to be adjusted because we're not doing the debt service anymore. So the money will either sit with the ETSB in its current form or it would be allocated. So that's the main thing that we're working on with the ETSB is getting the budget approved. And I think lastly, in January, we'll have 2 or 3 appointments that we need to do.
Okay,
So that's it.
okay, thank you. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we have no need for a closed session. So if everyone agrees, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, oh, I will call the roll here.
You can do that by voice vote.
Oh, great,
I'll allow
great,
that
by
one.
voice vote. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carries.
Meeting's adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.